Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey, and this is from Tor. But it's not a Tor Nightfire, it's just from Tor. I'm going to read the inside flap because I don't want to get blamed for any potential spoilers. So, this is what it says on the inside flap. I'm going to skip this little part here. Come home, Vera's mother called, and Vera obeyed. In spite of their long estrangement, in spite of the memories, she's come back to the home of a serial killer, back to face the love she had for her father and the bodies he buried there. Coming home is hard enough for Vera. To make things worse, she and her mother aren't alone. A parasitic artist has moved into the guest house out back and is slowly stripping Vera's childhood for spare parts. He insists that he isn't the one leaving notes around the house in her father's handwriting, but who else could it possibly be? There are secrets yet undiscovered in the foundations of the notorious Crowder house. Vera must face them and find out for herself just how deep the rot goes. So that's going to be your nutshell. For the too long didn't watch folks, I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it, and I was surprised by that because I've been having trouble deciding what to read. I don't know why. I mentioned this in one of my weekly wrap-ups. I just been in a weird headspace. I've been trying to find a job. The holidays were coming up. I think that was just messing with my head. So for a week or so, just could not figure out what I was in the mood to read. I'd started some things, wasn't getting into it. So just sort of pulling random things off the shelf. This was one of them. I've had it since it came out. It's been sitting on in one of my book carts, staring at me. So I finally decided to pull it off the shelf, and I just was not getting into it when I started it. But I kept plugging away, giving it a chance, and then either my head cleared up or the book itself just finally grabbed me. But I was grabbed, and I didn't want to put it down. There was just a point where I did not want to put it down. Fantastic writing. It is not in first person, and so we don't have to worry too much about the unreliable narrator trope, although you can have an unreliable, omniscient narrator, I suppose. But we start with Vera coming home. She's been called home. Her mother is dying, but they haven't spoken in years and years and years and years. And little bits of the past are slowly revealed throughout the narrative. Now, it does say on the flap, she's come back to the home of a serial killer, back to face the love she has for her father and the bodies he buried there. So, we have that. Now, that's not immediately revealed in the story. We do get a lot about the relationship that she had with her father when she was a child and her relationship with her mother, but more her relationship with her father. The chapters, not one for one, but jump back and forth between present day and Vera as a child. And it will say Vera is 9 years old at the beginning of the chapter, and then it'll tell us what's going on. And then a few chapters later, it might, Vera is 10 and a half years old, blah, 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 blah. And so things are slowly revealed through these bits of the past. And there comes a point where we know what's going on, but there are still some surprises. And again, I mean, we know from the flap, if you're a flap reader, so spoiler alert for people who don't read the flap, we know that her father was a serial killer. And we get hints that there was something in the past because she simply talks very, very early on. It talks about how Vera has to change jobs and move so much because someone might recognize her, and then problems begin. But when we're in the past and we're learning sort of firsthand these things, fantastic. Excuse me, the way things are revealed, loved it. And then you've got the relationship between Vera and her dying mother, and then you have this artist who's living there. And I don't think that this is a spoiler. In all this time that Vera's been gone, her mother basically has made the house into a tourist destination. She's allowing people to come in to see the infamous Crowder house, the home of this infamous serial killer. And she has had numerous sort of artists in residence, allowing them to stay in the guest house. I mean, they're paying rent, staying in the guest house to absorb the Crowder house. But this current one is a little different, and it's just so well written. There's so many emotional scenes when we're in the past, when Vera is a little girl. A lot of the stuff tugging at the heartstrings. And even when we know some of what's going on with her father, he's a very complex figure, I think. And so well written. One of the best well written, in my opinion, serial killers. Not that I've read tons and tons, but quite a bit of serial killer stuff. But it's not a subgenre that I hunt out anymore. But I think he's an incredibly well written character. Great characters, great storytelling, great pacing, great reveals at seemingly just the right time. And there's more going on. Things that I don't even want to touch on. Super creepy stuff happening that I don't want to spoil. So, Just Like Home, Sarah Gailey from Tor. Fantastic book. 5 out of 5 stars. If I had read this before I recorded my top 10 reads for the year, this might have been on the top 10. It might have bumped something off. So it's that good. Which is why I try to wait as late into the year as I can to make my top 10 and still get it out before the end of the year. But then something like this comes along, and this is from, I believe, 22. I was going to say 21. But it's 2022. So not that old. Easily would have fit, since my top 10 for 2024 was books I read, not necessarily that came out in 2024. Just Like Home. 5 out of 5. Fantastic book. Twists and turns. Terrifying things going on. Wonderful characters. Highly recommended. So, I don't know about recommending other similar books. There's so many books about people coming home for one reason or another. Usually a funeral, or similar in this case, a dying family member, but usually they've already died, and that's why the person's coming home. See, I could say How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. I think I gave that 4 out of 5. I don't remember. But, so I will say, if you like this, How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix, I am so torn when it comes to Grady Hendrix. I know people that just absolutely love his stuff, and I'm lukewarm at worst. I haven't hated anything he's done, but I haven't absolutely loved what he's done. I have tonal issues with his stuff, but that's all neither here nor there. Which is why I'm trying to decide if that's a good recommendation. But it is someone who's going home because their parents have died, Um, there's plenty of others that I just can't think of off the top of my head. Uh, so that's my one recommendation, I guess. How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. So if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, I will have links for my Instagram and Bluesky in the description below. And that's all I've got. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.